Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. In this video I'm going to take a look in the Soulforge and give you my opinion on what I think is good and bad in there. And then give you my mythic pick of the week. Who's the best mythic craftable in the Soulforge this week? Even if there's nobody worth crafting, I'll just say who I think is the best one there. Right, first things first though, I always recommend you pop to the shop every single week and grab the weekly event Glory Troop. This one is Ancestor Broadire. Let's see what this does from Morgrim Woods. Uses purple and yellow and creates 8 blue gems and 8 green gems. Then summons 1 to 3 random Morgrim Woods troops. Okay, the summon's pretty good because that can be mythic troops as well when you do that. I remember as a newer player when I first summoned a mythic troop, I was like, wow, I'll get to have a go over mythic. This is really cool. So you can get mythic troops from that as well, but you can get absolute rubbish ones at the same time. So very hit and miss on that element of the spell. The traits: allied wargear gain 2 life, immune to poison, disease, lycanthropy and death mark is okay, and start battles with 50% mana is not too bad. So the traits are about what you'd expect for this level of troop. But to create 8 blue gems and 8 green gems is actually quite a low chance of getting a 4 match on that. When you think of something like a forest troll, which doubles the number of gems on the board and adds 3 to that as well, and that's generally only safe to cast to get a 4 match when you're got about 12 or 13 on the board. 10 gives you a roughly 50-50 chance, and that's adding 3 to it as well, remember, as well as doubling the initial number. This is only creating 8 of those colours, so it's less than 50-50 chance, I think, of getting a 4 match on something like that, and you can set up the opposition if they use blue and green at the same time. But the summon's good on this, but overall this is the absolute definition of average for me, and my initial impression of this is just a very average 5 out of 10. But it's still always worth getting, and if you can, grab it all the way up to Mythic, because that gives you another troop which you can scale up to level 20, get it powered up to 20, and then that will aid your power kingdoms in the long run. As well as that, you get a load of arcane plane trait stones, gold, glory keys, and more, so totally worth doing. Grab this anyway. Whilst you're here, you can always grab Spoils of War at the same time. You're allowed 10 of these each week. Totally worth doing. Event keys, treasure maps, souls, and a bit of gold, all for glory, which if you've got it spare, you may as well use it. Right, now onto the Soulforge itself. We'll take a look at the weapons first. See what we got. Not going over all these ones. These are here all the time and have been covered in previous Soulforge videos. Doomed Glaive is not here all the time. This is a decent weapon, this one. Deals magic plus 3 basically, damage to all enemies, plus 1 per tempering level, then convert brown gems to doom skulls. If the enemy has a doom, create 5 more. Gain 3 mana for each green enemy. This is probably my favourite type of doomed weapons. These ones that convert a certain colour to doom skulls can be absolutely devastating. And the beauty of them is you can see if the spell conversion is going to work or not before you cast it. You know, I'm a fan of these kind of weapons. The ones that create a mix of skulls and a colour or something like that, for example, there is a random element to that, where with these ones you can see with 100% certainty whether that's going to work or not. You can concentrate on making the team, create a load of brown first, and then it gives you a massive chance of getting a good match when you convert those gems to doom skulls. So I do like these ones a lot. Really good. Doom Glaive is a absolute top weapon. I do like that kind of thing. All these are here all the time, as I said before. Moonblade is not. Deal magic plus 4 damage to an enemy, then convert 3 gems of one of their mana colours to lycanthropy gems. Okay, this seems pretty terrible to me. So it's a low amount of damage, then you convert 3 gems of one of their mana colours to lycanthropy gems. If I had an extra turn and gain an extra turn, might be worth getting maybe, but the fact is you can convert 3 gems of one of their mana colours, which may give them a chance to match them and give you lycanthropy. Yeah, okay. Unless there's an extra turn somewhere in the upgrade path of that, then absolutely crap. Devil's Bane. Deal magic +4 damage to an enemy, and there's a 4% chance to kill them boosted by a daemon enemy. So yeah, not particularly great either. I'm not a fan of these percentage chance to kills. They do not seem to come in as regularly as the percentage chance suggests. Lupine's Edge. Deal damage to an enemy boosted by Wargear allies. Then create a mix of 6 green and red gems for each Wargear ally. So you need all Wargears to make this viable. And it's going to create a mix of green and red. The weapon uses yellow and blue. So other Wargear allies need to basically use green and red, at least 2 of them, to make this worth even considering in the first place. Dagger of Morgrim. Remove all green gems with no effect, so this is best used in a team where you do not require green but the enemy does, because it's going to obviously counter their use and requirement of green. And if the enemy is from Morgrim Woods, deal double damage. So very, very situational. You need to not use green, the enemy needs to use green and be from Morgrim Woods to actually deal any sort of decent damage whatsoever. But only 9 mana cost, so not entirely terrible. Wolf Hammer. Want a hammer that batters more than just wolves. Want a hammer that bashes everything. That's because it's got a wolf on it. Deal magic +7 damage to an enemy boosted by Morgrim Woods allies. Another one of these ones. Then create a mix of 6 blue and green gems for each Morgrim Woods ally. So we need a team of Morgrim Woods. And at least a couple of them need to use blue and green, because we use red and brown. So again, very similar to the other one. And Hope's Crescent eliminates all armor from an enemy and deal magic +5 damage. And if the enemy's life is greater, deal a triple damage. This is a much better weapon. So really good for high-powered enemies. All that armor is stripped in absolutely instantly in one go. And potential to deal a triple damage as well. So that is a very good weapon. I like that one. This is by far the best one out of these ones here. But I really, really do like the Doomed Glaive. Absolutely superb weapon. Really, really good. More better on PvP and Guild Wars attack, where you get to choose that. That's where these ones and the ones that create a mix of skulls, etc. are different. These sort of ones are better controlled by you on Guild Wars attack days and not so much by the AI on defense, because the AI tends to cast this just whenever it is available and the enemy can basically see if that's going to work or not, and it is no way guaranteed to work on Guild Wars defense. But the opposite is true for the other ones. The create a random mix of skulls and whatever colour, that can work really well on Guild Wars defense. So each one has its own pros and cons. Alright, now on to the troops. First one is the Consort of Darkness. I still think he's pretty good. He's been out a few months now. I still actually quite like this. Traits are not so bad. Summons a Dark Storm at the start of battle, which is purple. Reduce damage from spells by 50%, which is significant. And steal life from the first enemy when matching purple gems is better than you might think, because you obviously steal life, you take it from them and give it to yourself. And if you can get a bit of a purple loop going in your team, then his life can be boosted up rather significantly. And if you can get that slay chance boosted up as well, because it is low at first, it's literally 1% plus your magic chance to slay an enemy. If the enemy dies, create 12 skulls. Otherwise, eliminate 10 from all their skills. And there is a way of boosting that slay chance. But yeah, overall he's okay. I don't think he's amazing, but it's still a decent troop, but nothing fantastic. Darksmith Drenzer, I'm going to go over him soon because he's special, because you can only craft him if you've got Soulforge to a certain level. Next one is Kalika. Now this is strange, because I'm going to try and explain this without it sounding confusing. Uses 24 mana cost, which is quite high, but the spell sounds utterly underwhelming. Deals, in my case, 33 damage to 4 random enemies boosted by elemental stars. Now, I'm just going to digress ever so slightly and go to a different troop. Like, Starflower and Queen Titania are both legendary, but their spell does more base damage than a mythic, costing way more mana cost. This is just 15 mana cost, but the damage to all enemies is more. Now, I'm kind of the opinion that there's something in the game somewhere, and the same for Queen Titania, who deal 34 damage to all enemies, boosted by red enemies and allies. And to go back down to Kalika again, who deals less. So I'm kind of the opinion, even though this does less damage initially, there is a way of getting tons of elemental stars there, which is really, really going to boost that, because I'm sure the devs must have some sort of algorithm in their, in their system, basically, that comes out with potential in the game, if it's done correctly or people find it, to get that damage to a sensible level where it's actually far better than the other troops. Because otherwise, no, she came out after. Kalika came out after Queen Titania and Starflower, so it makes no sense that legendaries would do more damage than a mythic. So there's got to be potential somewhere to make this spell really, really good, because the traits aren't anything special, so it's not like the bad spell is offset by the traits, because they're nothing fantastic. But I am of the opinion that somewhere, somehow in the game, there is a good and easy way to get that damage really, really boosted, to make her far better than those legendaries that done additionally more damage. So I suppose the boost ratio is ×6, but that is not enough to actually warrant that spell, or the mana cost actually. So I think somewhere there's a way of getting that better. I'm going to look at that later maybe. Anyway, completely digressed there. These ones are here all the time. Quetzalma is the next one. Deals scatter damage boosted by a chosen gem colour, but you cannot pick yellow. Then create 10 yellow gems and remove all the gems of the chosen colour. So obviously good if you've got a colour on the board which you don't use in your team anywhere, you can remove them, which is handy. And the more of them you remove, the bigger the boost to damage. And you also create 10 yellow gems. This is a decent droop. You often see it in first place in Guild Wars battles sometimes. And the reason is, it's just an amount of uncertainty about it. It summons a light storm at the start, which is yellow, which is good for its spell. And that 20% chance to resurrect myself with full mana when I die is a bit of a worry when you're playing Guild Wars and things like that, because first of all, it's a very, very good yellow mana generator should it get charged up nice and fast. But also, if that comes in, and that third trait comes in, even if you kill it, and it comes back with full mana, and it's ready to cast and create all those yellow again, and that can be really, really good in the correct team. So I do like Quetzalma. Next one. Last one is Abinicia. Is this the last one? Is that 4? Yeah, oh yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Abinicia is one of the first mythics I actually got in the game. I think War was my first one, and then I picked up Abinicia. And as a newer stroke middle-ish player, I thought it was actually okay at the time. It was quite often that actually kind of saved me. That summon of an Infernal King coming along seemed to make a good difference. But these days, with the power creep in the game, it's not actually that good a troop anymore at all. So very, very average, lower average, if anything, with Abinicia. But yeah, her day is done. Now on to the legendaries. I do always generally say don't craft the legendaries. You're much better off saving your diamonds for crafting mythics. Mythics are far, far harder to get in gems, in chests, sorry, than these are. So definitely, generally, unless it's someone absolutely fantastic that really is going to make a team click, generally just do not craft legendaries. Starflower deals damage to all enemies boosted by ally and enemy phase, and summon a random Fae at the same time. There's also a 20% chance to transform a random enemy to a pixie. So this is really good. I actually really like the Starflower. She's pretty superb to me. That damage to all enemies is good, and it's boosted by ally and enemy Fae, has a summon as well, and a 20% chance to transform a random enemy to a pixie, which is one of the most useless troops in the game. So, a lot to like about the Starflower, and reduces damage from spells by 25% too, and a 50% chance to Fairy Fire a random enemy at the start of her turn, which is going to add 50% of damage when she casts or when anybody else casts on them as well. So, Starflower, very, very good indeed. Queen Titania deals again damage to all enemies, boosted by this time red enemies and allies, and if there's 13 or more red gems, gain an extra turn. So a decent spell. It can do a lot of damage when there's red enemies and allies on either side, and the traits are just so-so. Immune to burning and Fairy Fire is okay, and Fairy Fire a random enemy on 4 or 5 gem matches works very similar to Starflower in the way that that's going to boost up her damage when she gets to cast or when anybody else gets to cast. The Great Maw. Devour an enemy. Outright, you're devoured, mate. Chomp. Then create 8 yellow and 8 brown gems. Can only be cast once. It is good in some teams still, but the very high mana cost is, you know, is the reason why you don't see it that often. The traits are just so-so. Gain 1 attack when taking damage. Gain 2 life on 4 or 5 gem matches. And gain 2 to all skills on Scarlet gem matches. So, yeah, nothing fantastic about that anymore, although it is still viable in some teams. And Moloch is the last one. Drain all mana from an enemy, which is always useful. Then deal true damage boosted by the mana drained. So, not bad when you want to actually control the mana on someone and take it away from them from a particularly dangerous enemy. And the traits are immune to burning and Fairy Fire, gain bonus red from red gem matches, and enemies lose 1 skill point on 4 or 5 gem matches. So nothing really fantastic there, and the spell can be useful again, but only in a particular kind of team. But who gets my super coveted, maybe, mythic pick of the week? Ibenicia. Sorry, it's not you. No, never in a million years. Kalika has got potential there somewhere, even though it's not been unlocked yet. But nope, not with that damage. Consort of Darkness is good, but you need to basically revolve the team around getting that slay chance raised. So for that reason, it's not going to be him, and it's going to go to good old quetzalma. Really good mana generator. Is worrying in guild wars on defense because of that chance to resurrect with full mana, and that light storm is really handy. So overall, even though it's quite a high mana cost, quetzalma gets my mythic pick of the week. So there's my weekly Soulforge review. If you enjoyed it, found anything useful, then be sure to think about hitting that like and subscribe button. It's free and it takes like a second. Click, done. And most of all, thanks for watching. Catch you again next time. Bye for now.